The RCMP Commissioner was at the Senate today as well, testifying before a committee looking into all those allegations of abuse and sexual harassment within the force. But Bob Paulson wasn't so much on the defense as he was on the attack. Our senior correspondent, Terry Milewski, has more from Ottawa tonight. Terry.
Well, Peter, it is a common theme in complaints about abuse inside the RCMP, that if you dare to speak out, you'll suffer. Canada's top Mountie has pledged to fix that, but it didn't sound like it when he testified today.
Let's face it, some people's ambitions exceed their abilities. I cannot lead a force that accommodates and seeks to compensate people for those unachieved ambitions.
For more than a year, Canadians have been hearing about abuse and sexual harassment inside the RCMP. And time and again, the victims say they were bullied and silenced when they filed a complaint. Do you think the Commissioner does take harassment seriously in the RCMP?
Quite frankly, no is my answer.
Roly Beaulieu spent 27 years as a Mountie, but has been off work for 2 years with a reaction to workplace stress.
I'd call it psychological violence, actually.
But the RCMP's commissioner surprised a Senate committee today by attacking Beaulieu by name.
My understanding of what our doctors told him was essentially that if you can go to Ottawa to testify, surely to God you can get back to work in some capacity in British Columbia.
And I know the doctor that did tell me those words, I've never met or spoken to her in my life.
Paulson also went after 2 other complainants. Staff Sergeant Carolyn O'Farrell is one. She said she was sexually abused while working with the musical Ride.
She didn't want our help. She would only hand me her statement of claim ahead of it being filed, while telling me that if these matters about the musical Ride ever made it into the public, it would sure be embarrassing for the RCMP. And she sure was right.
He's not with the team.
Paulson also attacked Corporal Pete Merrifield, who testified last week about sexual misconduct by senior Mounties.
Subjects of sexual harassment complaints, sexual assault charges, allegations regarding procurement of prostitutes.
I understand you've heard from Corporal Merrifield the other day on his views of the force. He was suggesting that his bosses have all harassed him and are cavorting with prostitutes.
Paulson's attacks did not go over well with some senators.
And I'd ask you, what sort of message do you think that sends to people who maybe have a complaint or a concern and they want to come forward, but they can see that they can be publicly singled out in a very, very public environment?
It's a vicious circle. It needs to stop.
Now, Paulson told the committee that he does take harassment seriously, but his critics say that his testimony was a classic example of what happens to Mounties who rock the boat. Peter.
Terry Milewski on Parliament Hill tonight. Thanks, Terry.